Hey guys, it's Mandee. You know I love Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, and one of the things I love the most is they're always doing new things. And I recently tried their new sports massage, and I've got to tell you, it's incredible. So you know I'm active and I'm always focused on wellness, and this is just one more thing that I am adding in to my routine because now I'm hooked. They use the Theragun, which of course is going to help increase blood flow to certain areas and muscles that might be sore or tired or need attention, but you also get to add on another upgrade. You know, whenever I was there, I chose to go ahead and do the cup gliding as well as the hot stones. They work really well with the Theragun, maybe like a triple threat. Definitely ask for it the next time you go in to Hand and Stone. Ask about the sports massage. You can book your appointment today online at handandstonetyler.com, or you can stop by and see them. They're located in South Tyler in the Cumberland Shopping Center.
Welcome to the Celebrating Women podcast, hosted by Mandee Montana, a podcast that celebrates women, their stories, their struggles, and ability to overcome. Conversations that celebrate their gifts, their talents, and courage. It's the Celebrating Women podcast, presented by Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. With over 20 massage therapists and 6 estheticians, certified and trained in multiple protocols, you can get an affordable massage or facial located right here in the East Texas area. Book your appointment today. Stop by the spa in the Cumberland Shopping Center in Tyler or online at handandstonetyler.com.
All right, Mandee, you're going to be the one in the hot seat this time while your dear friend, Kathy Williams Bosley, asks all the questions. Have I made you nervous yet?
Yes. Yes,
This
I'm
is
nervous.
so much fun.
I'm glad you're having fun.
I feel like I'm you this time.
You are me.
So, yes, do your introduction to Celebrating Women podcast.
Okay. Welcome back to the Celebrating Women podcast. I'm Mandee Montana with my dear friend, Kathy Williams Bosley.
And I am so happy to be here, and I will tell you how this all came about. One day, I was over at Mandee's house, and I was watching her be fit and do all the things she does, and just her routine in life, and how she is just so purposeful about making healthy habit choices. And I began asking her a series of questions. And about the third question in, I will note here that I have journalistic background, and am very curious about things and very good at asking questions. About the third one in, I said, this is a podcast. She said, it absolutely is. And I loved the answers, and I loved where it led, and I wanted to understand how you came to this healthy place of thinking.
Well, it came from an unhealthy place of thinking, and I think that's where most people start, right? Whenever you make a big change in your life, typically it comes from either a desire for pleasure or trying to avoid pain. And I was in a place where a lot of good things were happening in my life, but I wasn't happy with me. I had just gotten married and gone through all the fun and celebrations. I know you know because your daughter's doing it now, but all the wedding planning, all the celebrations and the parties and all the fun and stress involved. And I'd gotten to a place where I wasn't focusing on my personal health. I was focusing on taking care of everybody around me because I didn't let anybody help me plan that. It was pretty much all on me. And I had gained weight, and I just was feeling heavy. Kathy, I know you know what this feels like. I know other women know what this feels like. Depending on where you're at in your hormonal journey, it could be for various reasons. But at this point, I was about 34, and I was just physically, emotionally, mentally heavy.
I was going to say, it wasn't just a number on a scale or how an outfit fit you. It was a heavy feeling that we carry too much.
Yeah, I was carrying too much weight. I was feeling burdened. But I knew that a lot of it had to do with the things that I was putting in my body. I wasn't willing to do anything about it prior to this moment. And I saw a picture of myself that sort of just made me go, wait, when did I get here? How did this happen? When did this happen? And I just kind of had to sit with that feeling for a moment and question, okay, what am I doing to get here? And I realized I had been...
Wait. That's a great question to ask. Instead of just, how do I change this? I want to change this picture.
Yeah.
I want to be skinny tomorrow.
Yeah.
I want to change sizes tomorrow. I want to look differently tomorrow. You stopped and asked yourself a very crucial, very intelligent question. What were the steps that got me here? And what did you tell yourself?
Yeah, well, I was living on Diet Coke and in the fast food convenience line, which, I mean, who hasn't been there? I mean, it's real. It's real. And I was busy. And I was busy being busy. and I didn't slow down and take care of me. So, I was working probably about 40 to 60 hours a week in radio. Loved it. So much fun, probably at the peak of my career within that realm. But I wasn't focused on taking care of Mandee. I was focused on taking care of Mandee's career. And so I just, would fly through the drive-through line, put something in my body. Well, by 2:00 in the afternoon, after eating a bunch of carbs and sugar and junk, I would be like groggy, just tired, like falling asleep at the keyboard. I know that feeling whenever you've got your elbow on your desk and your hand is like, your chin is resting in your hand. You're a zombie. You're just scrolling Pinterest, whatever. You're just trying to stay awake and look like you're busy when you're not. And then the next thing you know, you're working late. And then you're perpetuating the cycle because then you've worked till 6:30 or 7 and you haven't thought about what you're going to eat. And then you're starving by the time you go home. So you order a pizza. This is where I was. And I knew that I didn't want to stay there, but I also didn't really have a plan. And I tried to make some changes. I have done several things over the years, fad dieting, all kinds of things. I tried some of that. I wasn't very successful. I've been active off and on throughout my life. So I started walking around the block, trying to do some of that, cutting calories, basic things that I thought, okay, well, this is scientific. This is numbers. This is going to help me get there. But I wasn't seeing any traction. And I was getting frustrated. And then when I get frustrated, I eat ice cream. So then the cycle perpetuated again.
Oh my goodness.
So it was just this ongoing, I was just really frustrated. And then I saw a picture of a friend on Facebook who looked amazing. I knew she had struggled similarly to me. And I thought, what the heck did she do? So I asked. And she told me it was Xyngular. And she did something that I really appreciated. She offered to call me. And then we had a conversation about where I was.
How many years ago was this?
Oh, gosh. That was 2017. So May of 2017 is whenever I gave her a call and said, what are you doing? You look amazing. You look happier than I've ever seen you. Your family portraits. That's what I saw was her family portrait. And
but
I was
let
just
me be clear here.
Wow.
You saw a lightened human being. You saw a person who had lifted off not just pounds and changed their curves, but they felt, and they probably had their shoulders back and carried themselves differently. That's what you saw.
I did. And so, because I saw a series of photographs on her page, right? But I saw that one and I thought, man, she looks like confident and happy and better than I've ever seen her. And so we had a conversation and she asked me, what's going on? So I told her the same story I just told you. And then she said, what have you done in the past that's been successful for you? And I thought, well, that's a great question. And I had done a program called Metabolic Research Center here locally. And I learned so much from that program. And I had maintained a healthy lifestyle for about 7 years after that, before I started devolving into these bad habits again. But I learned about nutrition and portion size.
I was going to say, you got the science.
I got the science.
I knew you had the
it.
science. I've heard you in your conversations. You knew the science. Your brain knew. Let me say this. Your brain knew not to grab the Diet Coke and the fast food.
Yeah.
But your lifestyle couldn't take time to stop. And your lifestyle would say to the brain, well, then what do you want me to do?
Right. And
What's my option?
When you get to a point where you are hungry and your body is craving something, it's harder to overcome those urges. Like with mental health and mental strength, it's harder to be mentally strong in those moments when you've let your body physically be depleted of nutrition. And so that's where I was. And so I was mentally weak when it came to making healthy choices. And I'm not trying to shame anybody here. I still have days where I choose to be mentally weak and not make healthy choices. The thing is, I make the healthier choices more often than I don't now.
That's a great way to put it, yes. And there's still ice cream in a lot of freezers across America where a person has gone the healthy route, because you can still have a little treat now and then.
Yeah,
and you
definitely.
And have your moments and things. But it's what is your daily overall habit of life to keep yourself light rather than heavy as a whole.
Yeah. And so what I needed in that moment was I needed a dramatic change to my day-to-day in order for me to sort of shock my system. Everybody's different. Some people need to make a small habit change from the beginning. They just need to change one thing and then habit stack that. That's a very effective way of making change. But I knew that if I could just go all in for me for 30 days and just obliterate everything else off of my schedule and just focus on, I'm going to feed my body. I'm going to give it all the good nutrition it needs. I'm going to supplement. I'm going to hydrate. I'm going to be active. And this is going to be my total focus outside of work and my husband. Then I could start to develop a routine and habits around it. And that's what I did.
And did she help you come up with what you just said? Was that your conversation with her where she was able to come up with okay, let's do the 30 days?
Yeah. So I asked her what she did. And she said, I did this program. It was the ultimate program. I was like, go big or go home. There's a money back guarantee. And I was like, wait a minute. You just told me I could get my money back if this doesn't work. Wait, what? And she said, yeah. And I said, okay, I've got a money back guarantee. If I hate this crap, I'll box it back up and send it back and get my money back. And if I love it, then great. I've actually achieved my goal. And so it was not a short term, and it was not a cheap decision. It was an investment in my health. And I was looking at this like, okay, I have to make a change. And two, I had just gotten married and I thought, you know what? I don't want to start my marriage unhealthy. I mean, it's two people. We have to make healthy choices together, but we have to make healthy choices as individuals to make healthy choices together. And so I thought, I'm not carrying my weight if I go into this sloppy. Is how I felt.
I love all the things you were thinking as you came to this point. I love all the ways you were looking at it and your angles, and from your marriage to fully in to a 30-day plan to a financial investment in Mandee. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm on the edge of my seat. So how'd those 30 days go?
The 30 days went great. And again, I really set myself up for success because I read every document that I was sent. Probably 3 times because I'm that nerd, but I was all in. My mindset, and I think that's the important thing, is any change that you're going to make, whether it's changing businesses, changing your health, anything where you're like, I'm making a change in my life. You have to be mentally prepared to do all the things and to shift your focus away from the distractions. And so that's what I did. I had so many happy hours from all the various volunteer activities that I did. And I told everybody, the month of June, I'm out. I will not be there. I will not make a good choice, and I am not willing to make a bad choice this month. I'm not going to sit there and have chips and salsa and you drinking a beer in front of me and want it when I've made a decision that I'm not going to have it.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
So I just chose not to go.
Set yourself up for a success moment where you actually, and I love that you took the calendar and sat it down in front of you and looked at it and said, over these 30 days, here are all the challenging days. I can see right here where this could be a challenge. And this, so I'm going to set myself up and I'm going to do it in a kind way. I'm going to text a friendly little text. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm working on me this month, but whatever it was. And then you set about to do it. And that's how we need to do that. Yes.
Yeah, serious boundaries. And I had people come back at me, kindly by saying things like, oh, chips and salsa one night's not going to be a big deal. You look great. You don't need to do that. We love you. We want you to be with us. Totally coming from a place of kindness. And I just immediately turned it back and just said, I appreciate that. And this is the decision that I've made, and I'll see you in July. That was what I did that summer. And I was just very disciplined about it. And it changed my life. It completely changed my life, Kathy. I did not think that those 30 days would be as life-changing as they were.
Well, I saw it. I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember the marked difference. I remember seeing 2 things. I remember seeing a different shaped Mandee. And again, you know how I feel. I love
women that actually
have curves, and I love all the shapes. And
yes.
so, but I could tell there was a difference. And I'm going to say that similar to the woman that you noticed on Facebook, I noticed a shoulder back, sort of more confident looking Mandee, even early on. And then I saw you staying with it. And then I saw a financial change. And then we know that you had made a larger business change, and you did go in a different direction from radio. So tell us more about what it was like to change from that career over to making this part of your life.
Well, the initial change happened. Listen, I've always been a hustler. Straight up hustle. Always. I've always had more than one job from the time I was a teenager. And I think I've shared this on the podcast before. Yes. But I worked at a movie theater. I worked at a video rental place. I tutored kids. I've always had 2 or 3 things going. I like to be busy and I like people. So when I started having success with this, people did notice a change in me right away, like you. And people were asking me, what are you doing? did you get a haircut? That was the question I got most often because people didn't want to be like, have you lost weight? So they would, but when you get a haircut, you're kind of bouncy, right? You're confident. You're walking into a room brighter. People notice that. And so that's what people saw at first. And I said, it's this company called Xyngular. I don't know what to tell you. I just started, but I like it. And I realized that when people were asking me about it, it's a referral-based business. So when I helped somebody else get started, I could earn some additional income to pay for my products. And I thought, well, I could either pass these referrals on to the lady who started me, or I could earn some extra money. And I'm not opposed to making extra money. So I upgraded to partner. And within the first 30 days of real effort, which was about July, because I don't know, I guess I had lost probably about 10 to 15 pounds that first month. And people were asking about it. So it's like, oh, well, I'll upgrade. Well, during the month of July, there was a big promotion. And if you helped 5 people get started with the kit I got started with, you got a free one for every 5. So I helped 10 people get started that month. So I got 2 free kits and all of the bonuses and the commission that came with that. I had enough money to go buy a purse from Nordstrom, the Tory Burch purse that I wanted.
Oh, yes.
And
I love it.
I've carried it for 7 years now. I mean, I still have that purse. And it's funny, our friend Carlene spilled wine in it once, and I completely forgot about it, but she told the story the other night, and I was like, what? Oh yeah, you did spill wine. I had it for about a week, and she dumped a whole bottle of wine in it. It was hilarious. But I still carry it.
But the businesswoman in me is listening to you, and I'm hearing, not only do you know how to handle a side hustle, but also I love the reward system. I always love that built into any new habit you're going to put. So there was your reward, this amazing purse.
Yes.
But I can already imagine all these years down the road, immediately you saw a way. So again, you said you set yourself up for success in the health arena, but I see a company who set you up for success immediately. They put in immediate reward systems in place, and it sounds like you had plenty of support, and you were trained, and you knew what to do to bring people along and educate them on this journey, and now take it again over into more of a business platform, not just a health platform.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the way it's set up. There is so much support that you don't need any training at the start. All you have to do is be excited and tell people you're excited. And then the people that brought you in are your support system, and they help educate that person for you. Then as you're listening and as you're, helping other people get started, you learn and pick up things along the way. So you mentioned the science piece of it earlier. I learned some of the science and nutrition piece years ago when I had done that first program. I picked up even more with this. And then I started, because of that, because of my personal experience and because I was listening to what was working for other people around me, I gained more knowledge. But really, the thing that helped me be successful as a business person was that I was excited. I was having success and I was helping other people have success. And so that excitement just started to snowball. And because there was so much built-in support, I didn't have to carry all of that on my own shoulders. And that's something that I had never experienced before. So much of what I did in the corporate world with radio was on my own merit. I had mentors. And if I went and sought out advice or guidance, it was given to me. But this was it was all women, which was totally out of the realm of Mandee's normal, because most of the radio world is men. But I had supportive women in my life for the first time. And it was such a nurturing, welcoming environment. And they really encouraged personal and professional development, which is something that I have had a desire for and been seeking on my own for, all my life. So to have that really fostered, that was a big deal for me. So the Healthy Changes was kind of the start of it. Of course, I like making money because it's what makes the world go round. But that community of support and the encouragement for personal development and just personal growth was probably the thing that made me go, okay, I'm going to pursue this, because that's the type of lifestyle I want, and that's the people that I want to be around.
Well, what I'm thinking in my head is, just 5 minutes ago, you told us the story of the Mandee who had just gotten married. And she did, I nowhere in there. And I think you've always had wonderful friendships and networks. But I didn't hear anything about something like this in place that set Mandee up for success on all those levels, not just the health, not just the mental, but was like the whole person. How can we support the whole person of Mandee? And now you had a group of women in. And the reason they were supporting you was because they had seen success.
Yes.
And it was, again, I love your word snowball effect.
Yeah.
This one told her friends who told her, and then they all came together and said, how can we help? And it wasn't, what I hear you saying, it wasn't a company that said, how can we make money? It wasn't a company that came together and said, how can we make people skinny? It was, how can we develop a plan and a way for a woman to feel complete and successful and healthy and all the things you were looking for. I love that.
Yeah. And money and getting skinny are byproducts of it.
Of course.
For sure.
Yes.
But that's not the heart of the company and the community. It really is about, we say God, family, Xyngular. That's our motto. That's the way we approach things. And so there have been times, and this is probably one of those times in my career with them and in my life, where I've had to rest more than drive. And that's just part of life. We go through cycles like that. And so what I love about the support of this community, from the corporate level to the women that are on my team and have supported me all along, whether I am pushing for the next trip, helping 15 people get started a month, or 2 people get started a month, and going, I am not going for that trip. It's just not going to happen right now. Either way, they still love me. They still support me. They ask how they can pray for me. They ask, about my family before, and how I am before they ask about how my business is. That's the culture. And so even if I wasn't making very much money, I would probably still be very invested in this company because of the culture of it, just the way that people love each other. It's a family.
Well, I'm noticing.
I didn't expect to tell you that part of the story today when you asked about this, but that's such a big piece of it for me.
Well, I was going to say is, ever since that lovely time period in our nation's history a couple of years ago, that's all I'm going to refer to it as, but I've seen the younger generations come along and not be aware of what community meant. And I am one of those spokespeople. I'm a spokesperson for community, whether that be your church, whether that be AA, whatever the thing. Like, community is so integral and important to all of our development as human beings. We need it. Your company is doing a beautiful job of community. Congrats to them. Congrats to you. And may I come back over to a place where we were talking about with rewards and a certain handbag. And may I say, I love to travel. As I'm headed to New York next week.
Right.
Tell me, just off the top of your head right now, your favorite place you've traveled to, and how does travel work? And you're mentioning something about trips.
Yeah, so that was really what, initially it was like, could I just help one person? Great. Okay, well, I earned some income. Great. Well, then my friend Holly told me that she had earned trips with this company, and I do love to travel. And I was like, well, what do you mean trips, Holly? And she was like, well, I haven't unpacked my bags in 2 years. I've been on 8 free trips. Free meaning she's earned them. The company, it's an all expense paid reward system. It's part of our passport program. And she said the next trip that she was going to earn was a Mediterranean cruise, which happens to be Mandee's dream vacation that Mandee would love to not actually pay for. So 2 weeks in the Mediterranean on a cruise ship with other successful people who have earned this trip. And she did. She earned that dang trip about 4 months later. And I still have not earned it, but I have earned 11.
Wow.
11 all expense paid trips.
I didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not, that is counting the one leadership fly-in that I did. So I've gone to Utah 3 times. They've flown me to Utah. I've been to the Caribbean on a cruise twice. I've been to Mexico a few times. And let's see where else. And Dubai. I
do remember that.
They took me to Dubai for, I think, 8 nights.
How incredible.
It was spectacular. It's hard to choose a favorite. It really is, because the people that are on the trip are also an important piece of it. I was mentioning the culture and the family. Some of the people within our company that aren't like directly connected to me, I've met on these trips, and they've become dear, dear friends of mine.
So to be clear, these are trips with the group. It's not just that you get to go on a trip and enjoy the place.
Correct.
You're going with them. So how fun is that?
And I get to bring my husband.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to say family is brought in, but also how wonderful is it to, during this relaxing time of just community? I mean, I'm sure business is discussed, but I'm certain it's a time of, again, encouraging one another and just living life together.
Yes.
And enjoying the reward together. And then you come back refreshed.
Yes.
And you're ready to take on the next month's habits and the next month's goals and the business goals and the health goals and the who am I going to encourage mindset. I love that.
Yeah. And it's special because you meet people that are or it is for me. But I love people and I love hearing stories. So that's been another just very enriching part of this journey for me, is hearing other stories of women who have. My friend Christy was her debit card was denied at the grocery store. She was working 5 jobs in a tiny town in the panhandle of Texas with 2 little kids. They had a ranch and her husband rodeoed, and she was she was a school bus driver. She was a photographer. She worked at the local hotel. She did 5 different little jobs, and they were broke as a joke. And then she wasn't feeling good. She maxed out her credit card, ordered a kit, started feeling better, shared it with other people. And now, she's just completely changed her life financially. She lives a totally different life and helps other people now. That's a big piece of it is, of course, we want to help people with their health because just the obesity rates in this country are insane. And that's a whole long other
I was going to say, there's another podcast. We love to talk about being healthy and taking care of these bodies we have. They're the only ones we have.
But also understanding personal finance is a big piece. And I actually have a really good friend locally that I want to bring in and have her talk a little bit about it. She works at a bank here, but personal finance is a big deal. And a lot of people don't understand it. They don't understand how to leverage debt. They don't understand how that debt can be good sometimes, especially if you're in business, how that works versus cash flow. But on the personal side of it, how do you manage your day-to-day spending, and are you spending more than you're earning, and how can you bring in money with little effort? That's one of the things that this is sort of, you have to work really, really hard early on to develop kind of a residual customer base. You had to do the same thing with your store. It just looks a little bit differently. You won me over. I come in all the time now, right? I wasn't a one-time sale for you. Well, my business works similarly. If Kathy falls in love with, the protein powder that I drink because she's adding more protein to her diet and it tastes good and it's convenient for her and she wants to support my local business, she's probably going to be a repeat customer. If I take care of somebody well, then I make a large effort on the front end, but then I have residual earnings that happen on the back end. And so that's kind of how this works. If I work really hard and I set somebody else up for success initially with their health and also showing them how they can earn an income, then eventually they can go off and do the same thing with other people. And I'm not necessarily holding their hand day to day to day. And I've been able to do that several times over the last 7 years. And it's treated me well financially, but it's also given a lot of freedom to a lot of other people that I've helped.
Well, I love hearing that. 2 of the things that you were saying, stories, and then I'm going to say financial. So I'm going to say I love success stories of any human overcoming anything. So I love, and I bet you have 1 million stories now after all these years to tell.
So many stories.
So I love that you all share each other's stories to encourage the next person and the next person and the next person on this journey. But also financially, especially, again, times are a little different and the economy is different, and we all need to make the dollar go as far as it can go and be wise in our investments and decisions, what we're going to do with the dollar that we earn. And it sounds like they do a good job of educating you in a financial way. So you're not just getting a physical health education sort of thing about what needs to go in your body and how to best care for your body, but you're figuring out what needs to go in your wallet and how to best deal with what's going in and out of your wallet and your bank account.
Honestly, some of that came from my mom. I've got to give credit to her. My mom has always talked to me about money. And from a very young age, she got me a credit card when I turned 18 because she wanted me to understand how to make mistakes with it early and with a small amount so that it didn't snowball on me later. So her whole mantra when she gave it to me, she said, this credit card has a $500 limit on it, which means under no circumstance should your savings ever be under $500. You need to always be able to pay this off so that you're not charged interest. Now, have I always adhered to that in my life? No, I'm a human being and I was a child and I was a young adult, so I made mistakes. But I remembered that. And so that came back to that principle time and time again. And even if I did make mistakes or develop some debt, I learned how to pay it off and I came back to that, right? So the personal finance piece I did learn from my mom. But what I've learned with this company is there are ways to bring in income where you don't necessarily have to DoorDash for it. Like the work that you would do for DoorDash, for example, if you're going to go pick up a meal and deliver it to someone, you're going to get paid for that, but you're not going to get paid for that meal again later. Right?
Oh, you're saying let's set something up where the money keeps coming in.
Where the money keeps coming in.
Yes.
Similar to if you're investing in a rental property. Yes, you're paying long-term mortgage or you're spending a big chunk of money early to make that investment, but you've got cash flow that's coming in from that later, time over time, where you're going to have problems. You're going to have people tear stuff up. You're going to have turnover. You're going to have to search for the next person to come in. But is the cash flow worth it over the long period of time? This business is similar. There are challenges. There are lots of things to overcome. Communication is challenging. People are very emotional about their weight loss and they're very emotional about their money. And I'm dealing with both.
Yes.
So learning to be empathetic and to have boundaries and to be a very clear and strong communicator is important in this business. Or you get your feelings hurt and then you want to quit. I've had plenty of people get their feelings hurt and want to quit. And that's okay. It's not for them. Not a big deal. But for a strong communicator and somebody who has good boundaries, you could do a lot with this.
Well, I was going to say, great advice if anyone is interested in Xyngular.
Yeah.
When I opened my store, one of the very first things I did in this community, because it was in a community and I have like family here, I have friends I've known, I've taught with, I immediately said, when I'm in this building, this is a store, and if you want to buy the clothes, great, and if you don't, great. And then if I walked out, then they were still my friends. So whether they ever came and shopped there or not, or they liked the color purple or not, or a suggestion I made for them to wear, I totally separated the two from day one. I had no expectations of any of my friends coming to shop at the store or any that kind of thing. The ones who did, it was very supportive and wonderful, and I'm thankful for that. But to be professional, that is something that is required.
Yeah, and it's an important thing, especially with this, because and it is multi-level marketing, and most companies will tell you that you should share this with your friends and family first. And of course I did. That doesn't mean they all said, yeah, I want to try it. A lot of them were skeptical. They thought it was a scam, or they were confused as to why I was telling them about weight loss products when they were as tiny as Kathy. Like it's not necessarily for everyone. It's available to everyone. And I think that's the distinction that you have to make. And it's a small one. And it's, if you aren't careful with the way you communicate it, you can hurt feelings. Or if you're overexcited, you can, overshare. And I've certainly done that and made those mistakes. I think everyone does. But I've learned that talking about it with someone like Kathy's never been a customer.
Oh, no, I have never. But that we also make it.
But you've always been supportive.
Physically, I am not a customer to many things due to my body and its inability to take anything that has caffeinated products.
That was not a complaint.
Yes. No. I wanted to just say, but you don't know a more curious person. When we were in her home, and I genuinely saw her. So I got to go see Mandee go through the routine. So as she touches each product and she's taking the probiotic and she's doing the collagen and she's doing the protein and she's doing each step, I have a version of that I'm doing in my life that are of whatever, however I've set that up. But my curiosity about all of them and her answers to them, it was actually beautiful the way you answered it. It was just like me with the store. It was educational thing. And at no time did I feel like I must participate. And yet you did a great job of absolutely sharing it.
Thank
you.
To
this day, I can share it with others. I think I just shared it with somebody else, and I don't know if he's going to be jumping on board or not. But he's absolutely landlocked. The decisions he needs to make. He's going through a divorce. I told him about Carlene's divorce recovery program as well. I sold both you ladies to this person. But again, that's it. That's what we're doing. It's all about community.
It's
and
about
how
community.
Can we,
and how
when
can we
see
serve?
that person carrying a heavy weight and the shoulders are hunched over and the person is carrying the weight of physical weight or the financial weight or the divorce weight or the thing, how can you go in and you can't necessarily take the weight off of them, but you can offer to help them carry the burden for that time, and you can talk to them and you can offer resources.
Yes.
So you are a beautiful resource.
Thank you.
And your company is a beautiful resource for those who want to reach out and find a plan like you did and see the photograph and feel the need to change something and want to go, okay, where can I go that's a one-stop shop and get all of this information, health and product training, all that I need. See, you've taught me a ton. I've been paying attention all of these years. I've watched it. It's been a pleasure to watch it be so successful for you. But I know that's twofold. It's a successful company because I hear the things you tell me they're doing, and that's all a very good way to do business. But also a successful person has taken a part in it, and that's you. You've invested in the company and you've invested in Mandee. And I love that.
Well, it comes down to service, I think, and not just good customer service. I don't mean it in that regard. That's a big piece of it, and our company does that very well. We call it WOW customer service, and so they go above and beyond to take care of people. I've called in to make simple changes to my account to our customer service, and they've sent me a thank you note and a gift. Just as
for making the phone call.
For making the phone call and having an exchange. When they answer the phone, they're going to ask you how your day is. And they genuinely have a conversation with you about it. It's not just, how can we help you? It's also, how are you? And they will have a conversation with you about it. Yeah, it's exceptional. But what I mean is wanting to serve. And that's a big piece of who I am. And I've not been really loud about it throughout my life. I hope that I've shown it more than I've said it. But it's important for me to serve within my community. I've volunteered with a lot of organizations over the years. I did a lot of it through radio, and I think that that's one of the reasons I loved it so much was because for me, the public service aspect and the community involvement of radio was really special. And for a long time, it was the driving force behind the reason the technology existed. Of course, it's changed. It's much more commercial. It's really about making money now. But there are elements of it where we still serve. And I'm willing to bet that there are hundreds of radio stations across the country right now doing hurricane relief. It's a big piece of what that is. But for me, with this company, that has been a big part of it too, is being able to have an impact on someone's life, whether it's for a short period of time or a long period of time, showing them kindness and compassion and helping give them those resources. Again, whether they are a customer once or a customer 100 times over. I mean, I have some people that have been with me for the full 7 years. I have people that have ordered and returned, and yet we're still friends, It's whatever I can do to be of service, whether that's with the podcast, whether that was what I did in radio, what I do with Xyngular, the various things that I do in life. That's a big piece of, I love being able to do it with a company that it's their foundation and their principle too.
I love that. And now I really get to do this to you like you do to us. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
To finish us out today. Number 1 question, I'm going to go light first. What is your favorite Xyngular product?
Oh, don't make me pick.
Yes, you have to pick one right now.
No,
right now.
No. There's too many.
You can run back in the
ones.
kitchen right
There's
now and grab one thing.
It's trim sticks. It's the powder that I mix with water and drink.
I have seen you do that regular in this day and age. I see everybody grabbing the liquid IV or the product like that. But you tell me that this one's a little different.
It is a little bit different. It's got a very small amount of caffeine in it, so it does give you a boost of energy. It's got some B12 in it, but it also helps to stimulate your metabolism, and so it really works very effectively, like after lunch. I
was just about to say that part where you said you're leaning on your, you got your chin in your hand and you're about to fall over asleep on your desk.
It's much more effective than running to Starbucks and getting a quad latte, which is what I used to do.
I love that.
That'll make you crash later. This does not at all. And I think it's like, I'm trying to remember the amount of caffeine in it. You do not have to be an expert on these things to do this business and be successful, clearly, because I can't tell you how many milligrams of caffeine are in it. But it's like half a cup of coffee. So it's not an extreme amount of caffeine. Like, for example, a Celsius, I think, has double the amount of caffeine as a Coke. People think that Celsius is a very healthy product because of the way it's been marketed. I'm not saying that it's not a healthy product. I'm just saying if you are looking at the amount of caffeine that you're taking in and you're drinking that,
not you
knowing
really don't
how
need
much,
that much.
You really don't need
drink. What's it called again?
It might be 50 milligrams. Trim sticks.
The trim sticks have the little boost you need to get you over the hump and get you to dinner.
Yeah,
I think it's genius.
So if you're looking at labels, that's something to look at, because sometimes things are marketed as being very healthy and they might not necessarily be what you're looking for.
Well, I see you putting that in your water bottle and going for a walk.
Oh, yeah.
So I love, again, I'm always here to praise trading Diet Cokes for water, trading sitting for walking, and then putting that all together the way you're doing and keeping it. I see the habits. And that's another thing I want to tell you, Mandee. I do see in the community who loves you and hangs out with you does see your habits, and they're beautiful habits, especially the ones about learning about yourself and making yourself better. So here's my last question.
Uh-oh.
How easy was that? What would you say to the Mandee sitting out there right now who happens to be listening to this podcast? And I even tear up a little bit, but I picture her and the shoulders aren't back. The shoulders are down for all the reasons. What's just something just to like make it light and encouraging? What would you say to her today? And I'll just say that. What would you say to her?
There's hope. There is something out there for you. And whether it's what I have to offer or it's something different, don't stop looking for it. Because when you find the piece of the puzzle that makes your life work the way you want it to work, there are going to be bumps, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be things to overcome again. But when you have that confidence and when you have a supportive community around you, it's much easier to overcome those challenges. You don't have to carry that burden alone. It's not only yours anymore. And that was a big piece to this puzzle too, that I didn't see coming was, I did feel that burden. I did feel that heaviness. I didn't expect to have other people carrying it with me. And it's not to say that I didn't have amazing women, female friends in my life prior to this. I did. Kathy's a great example of it. My friend Carlene, that you've heard from so many times, is as well. So many amazing women in my life. I didn't know how to ask for what I needed. And so when I found this, it gave me a formula to follow, a plan to follow. I'm very type A, if you can't tell. Directions. I can follow directions. This gave me directions to follow. And then in addition to that, I found that supportive community that not only enriched my relationships within them, but they have helped. That community has taught me how to better enrich my relationships with my friends that I had before too. And it's amazing because some people will come into an MLM in this way and they will damage their relationships because they don't understand that it's not about a quick sale. It really is about strengthening relationships and being of service and telling people what you have, but not demanding that they buy it from you. I mean, gosh, Kathy, I think I've shared with you, we've looked at ingredients at least 3 times in 7 years, and it's just never been the right time or the right fit or the right ingredients. But that's never hindered our friendship.
And I still love, I still love the company,
questions.
And I love that you do it. And that's why I'm here today. And I think that should speak volumes to anyone listening.
Thank you.
That the person who asked you all these questions today and cares so much about that company and you as a person and you're partaking in it, it shows you how the two have come. And the last thing I'll say is when you say that, it's find what's the best thing for you, your body, your place, your physical, mental, and spiritual health, and then go do that and get the community behind you that does that. And Mandee, it is beautiful to watch and see how this company, Xyngular, has paired with Mandee and made such a neat relationship that has affected so many people for all the right reasons and not just the short-term fixes or monetary reasons or anything like that. It's been for all the good ones that have encouraged other humans.
I wouldn't be doing this podcast if it weren't for that company. And that's a big, long ripple effect. It's probably a longer story, but the short version is I loved personal development before, but I mentioned that they fostered that and encouraged that. And so I did a Tony Robbins course in January of... I guess it would have been, what year is it? 23. And I left that course with people have been encouraging me to do this for a long time. I left that course with the confidence and the belief that I should just go ahead and go for it. I had the resources. I knew I could find the tools and I needed to just try it. But I also had the flexibility because of what Xyngular allows me to do. The way it allows me to earn income is flexible. So my time is flexible. My income is flexible. It allowed me to do this. And it allowed me to have a community of people who believed that I could too. I wouldn't be doing the podcast if it weren't if I hadn't taken the risk, done the things, been on that journey, I wouldn't have had the confidence or the belief in myself that I could do this.
Well, I am so thankful that at that turning point of your life, rather than turning in a way of a depressed state, a negative place, a sad place, which was always an option and is for all of us, you chose this option.
Thank you.
And I'm so thankful this company was here to educate, encourage, and empower you in a fantastic and amazing way. And I pray blessings over your continued venture with all of it and the podcast and the way that you encourage women to choose that path rather than let the negative one take over.
Thank you, Kathy. This has been a little bit uncomfortable, but as someone who is always looking to grow, I know that happens outside of my comfort zone. So thank you for offering your time and thank you for your desire and your curiosity to kind of put me in the opposite seat.
I think you did. I mean, you did a great job. It was awesome. I thought, of course, you're wonderful at this. And thanks for letting me be the one to ask the questions.
The Celebrating Women podcast wants to hear from you. Email us a voice message to celebratingwomenpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear your story or the story of an incredible woman you know. Become part of the conversation on social media. Facebook.com/celebratingwomenpodcast. On Instagram, search Celebrating Women Podcast. The Celebrating Women podcast has been presented by Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Book your appointment today. Stop by the spa in Cumberland Shopping Center or online at handandstonetyler.com. Support the show for as little as $3 per month at celebratingwomenpodcast.buzzsprout.com or visit our show notes. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the Celebrating Women podcast.
Hey guys, it's Mandee. Have you been struggling to lose those extra pounds? Oh, I know. I have totally been there. An extra, 15 to 20 pounds can totally creep up on you in perimenopause. Or at least it has with me. And I think I found it early. I hope it's not happening to you. But if it is, I've got the solution. You can lose up to 15 pounds in 8 days with an incredible product line that I found and I want to share with you. Get a custom product recommendation with a complimentary wellness screening in the show notes. Just click Zing with Mandee.